Hey everyone, it's Rebecca with Evansville Sports 360, and we're here at Bosse Field today and excited that we've got the skipper, Andy McCauley, here with us. So how you doing today, Andy?
Hey, everything's great. Hanging in there.
Awesome. So this is your ninth season with the Otters.
Yeah, 9 years. Started here in 2010, came in halfway through the season. They made a managerial move, and I was lucky enough to be considered and then hired by Mr. Bill Bosse and the Bosse family ownership group, and I've been here ever since, and don't picture myself being anywhere else.
Well, we're pretty happy to hear that as fans. We sure enjoy having you here. Wow. as you think back over your lifetime, really, what's your first memory of baseball?
I have two older brothers. Well, actually, I have 4 brothers and 5 sisters, but I have 2 older brothers, and we all started playing baseball around the same time, and I was the youngest out of the 3. So they went on to play baseball, and I was too young. But sometimes they needed an extra player on the team, and they'd let me play with the older kids. And that was probably my first memories, playing Little League baseball with my brothers, back home in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So yeah, and then they kind of got away from it with other interests, and obviously it stuck with me.
Well, we're glad it did.
Yeah,
Did you have a favorite team growing up? Or?
I was always a Phillies fan. From
Okay.
My mom is a big baseball fan, and she taught me how to keep book. We would listen to the games, on those summer nights when you don't have much going on, listening to Richie Ashburn and Harry Callis throughout the years, listening to the games on radio and keeping the book and keeping score. So, my mom was a real big influence on me falling in love with baseball, and still in my blood today.
That's great. And a favorite player?
I like Mike Schmidt growing up, Steve Carlton, hard not to if you're a Phillies fan. Probably 2 of the best Phillies of all time. Just lefty, his dominance on the mound and how he handled himself professionally. You never heard him getting in trouble or, doing this or that. Maybe a little too quiet for the media's liking, but, and Mike Schmidt kind of the same way. Philly's a tough town to be a sports star in because they love you and hate you at the same time. But both those guys, were booed at different times in their career in Philadelphia, but there's no 2 better Phillies that I think of than that 80 team with Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton.
That's pretty cool. Well, as you're watching baseball and being a fan, and since your Little League days, then what happened and when that said to you in your mind, I want to be a manager?
Well, it happens by default when you can no longer perform as a player. And it's kind of interesting. I have Taylor Hilson here. His father, Harry Hilson, was my college coach. And I wasn't the best baseball player on my high school team, let alone my college team. And for whatever reason, he kept me around, and kind of what got me hooked. Playing my 5 years of college baseball in Mansfield, Harry giving me that opportunity, got in my blood, and then just no plan B really for after baseball. Just got into coaching at Division III level, and that's kind of when I got hooked, when I started coaching and really enjoying the coaching aspect of it. And then the rest is just a long, arduous tour through minor league and independent baseball. But I look back and really I didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities at the time, and just staying in baseball was my #1 goal. And any way I could stay in the game, and that's kind of what window opened for me. And I was lucky enough to crawl through and stay in for a while.
Well, independent ball is its own beast in itself, and you've got over 21 years doing that. What attracted you to working in the independent ball system?
When I first got into independent baseball, it was hopefully to be a stepping stone to organization, and then the more I was in independent, and the more responsibility came in as a base coach in Fargo, North Dakota. Then I was a pitching coach in Kalamazoo. With the Kodiaks, and then became manager. And once I started managing, that was really the draw. When I've had numerous opportunities to go with affiliated baseball, and I knock on wood, I didn't take those opportunities to stay in independent baseball. But the thing with independent baseball, you get to put the team together, and you have the responsibility and the freedom to pick your team and put it together through evaluation. And then once you're here to pick and choose your team based on clubhouse and energy and chemistry, and then you have the responsibility of winning. So it's a lot that goes into it, and you don't have that in affiliated baseball. Someone else is putting your roster together. Many times they're putting your lineup together. So it's got a lot more freedom to it. It really is a hungry kid that's willing to play independent baseball, loves baseball, wants to get that opportunity, to play at the next level. And my best conversations are with players when I tell them that they're being purchased by Josh Allen and the Mets, or this year with Logan Taylor and then Patrick McGuff, and Luke Rennie, just a great story. He's a great independent story of getting himself straightened out here in independent baseball and going on to do good things in affiliated. But that was a great conversation too, and Max Peterson deserves a lot of credit with the Luke Rennie story. So I mean, that's the goal, and that's why I've always never stood in the way of a player getting an opportunity. I've moved players, Rob Watson and Kevin Mahar, 3 days before the trade deadline, and we went on to win the championship that year. I mean, I will never, ever hold a player back from getting an opportunity in affiliated baseball. Something I never had.
Well, and we've certainly heard a lot of the players say that and verify that and be really respectful of you. That's one of the reasons they love working with you. So.
I think they like their jobs more than they like working with. Some days are better than others.
I think they like you too.
some days are better than others for some guys. But it is. You just got to be the same person every day and know what you expect and know what have your expectations at a high level, but not an unexceedable level. And I got a great bunch of guys, and I've said it a million times through my career. I'd rather lose with good guys than win with jerks. And I'm proud to say that we do a real good job of evaluating that very early on, and have a good bunch of guys, the Jeff Gardners, the Travis Harrisons, that keep it loose and fun, but still do their work and work hard. And that rubs off on the younger guys, the Mike Rizzatellos and the Ryan Longs and the David Cronins. So it's a good mix. You really enjoy coming to work, not only at this field, but with the guys that we have here. And that's year in, year out. That's my goal, to have a good bunch of guys that play hard and want to win, and see where the chips fall.
What is your typical day like?
Well, it starts early. Of course, my wife and kids are back home in Pennsylvania, so I usually get a FaceTime for breakfast, which is about 7:30, which they're finally sitting at a table. I have a captive audience instead of following them around the house. So a little FaceTime with the family in the morning. I'll make some phone calls to some managers that I know in this league as well as other leagues about anything, any players or anything that's happened in the league, just to stay abreast of that. You always got to have a pipeline, even after the trade deadlines, to know what players are available and who's out there. So make some phone calls, eat some breakfast. About 11, start getting ready to come to the park, get to the park around noon, and then once I'm here, then it's putting out fires left and right, whether it's front office, operations, clubhouse, injuries, get the report from my trainers, and just try and put a lineup together with injuries as well as playing time in consideration and our best chance to win. Post a lineup, have BP, and then get ready for the game. So and then after the game, talk about the game with my staff, see what we're doing tomorrow, and go home and go to bed. So,
do it all over again.
Do it all over again. Yeah. But it's changed. My routine has certainly changed over the 21 years. When I was younger, I did a lot more extracurriculars, but I look forward to that bed and pillow at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm. And so in the off season, are you then back home in Pennsylvania?
I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I love every minute of it. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And this has been the hardest playoff push that I've had, because when I'm on the field, everything's great. Want to be here, play hard, win, and then when I get to see my kids, I miss being home. But
pulling on those heartstrings.
Yeah, I'll be home soon enough, and hopefully later than sooner with this playoff push we got going here. But that's off season, stay-at-home dad. My wife is a volleyball coach, so she's starting her season right now, and she's just getting underway. They're making their first trip this weekend, so she's getting underway. We have a little overlap between the seasons, but once I get home, I'll be daddy daycare, and looking forward to every minute of it.
Nice. I know you mentioned you love being here and you love what you're doing. The Otters seem to be a great fit for you, and so I have to think that the ownership has been a really great fit as well, and they're terrific to work with. It sounds like
there's no doubt. I've had a lot of owners in all my stays in independent baseball, and without doubt, without question, Mr. Bussing, Mr. Bill Bussing, and the Bussing family is without a doubt the best owner, not only that I've had, but I believe the best owner in all of independent and probably a lot of affiliated baseball. He's dynamic. He works hard. You'll see him doing any chore that takes place on a minor league baseball field, whether it's fixing the trash cans or rolling the tarp. He's rolling dice off the roof. He's just here. He's hanging lights outside. He's not your typical owner that just sits up top and passes judgment. And a very knowledgeable baseball man. He's a big Cardinal fan and watches our games and has a lot of input as far as some player procurement in the off season. Sends me players. And is involved on the day-to-day aspect with that, and always available to take my call. Just a great person, great baseball owner, and even better person.
That's great to hear, especially I'm born in Evansville and have heard the name most of my life. Of course, I was away for 25 years, but I have a lot of familiarity with the family and always have heard great things about them and what they do in the community. So that's great. Yeah. Great to hear it from the other side as well. We talked earlier about how the players really enjoy working with you. So how would you describe, what is your leadership style?
That's a good question. I've probably been doing it so long I don't even know myself. But I just try and be open and honest. And if you can be that in baseball, you can stay in baseball a long time. And baseball will always be honest with you. It'll tell you when it's time to get out. So I try and make it. It's a tough enough thing to do to play this game, especially the hitting and pitching part of it. But if you can just be honest with them in your evaluation, right or wrong, and give them the opportunity in a comfortable, stress-free environment, at least to start, and let them get their feet under them and see what you're about and see what the league's about, and then just be honest evaluation from then on, and expect not only performance on the field, but responsibility and maturity off the field, and that's my basic 1-minute speech that I give these guys the first time we meet, and it's worked for me. All these years, it's been my same recipe, and it goes back to just getting talented but character baseball players and individuals here.
So if we would say at the end of the day you do come to retire, what do you hope your players will say about you? That's probably a better question for them. I don't know what they'll say. I'm sure some I'm sure will not be too happy with their Indy McCauley experience, but for the most part, I just hope they think that they played for a guy that gave them every opportunity to move on and wanted the best for them in their professional and personal careers. I can't tell you how many letters of recommendation. I just wrote one today for Chris Rio Pedre. He's looking to get into the FBI and law enforcement, and did a letter of recommendation for him, and I can't tell you how many, not even my players, but players for other teams that have contacted me in the off season looking for jobs and helping them get signed on with other teams. So players that play for me, I just hope they appreciate what they learned here, and hopefully they take some of the lessons learned here on in life. Well, I'm sure they will, and I'll tell you, Andy, it's sure been a pleasure talking with you today, and let's go get that win tonight.
We need it. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.